sitting in my house, I know what's happening in New York. I could perhaps live stream with a friend in New York or FaceTime with a friend in New York and send him or her pictures. So the world has become a much smaller place. And I think the coronavirus, in a sense, reflects the complete breakdown of all national boundaries at one level. Because this is a true global pandemic. And because it's a global pandemic, no one is isolated from it. In that sense, you could argue that it's the biggest story of our times, which affects so many people across the world. I wasn't born when the Spanish flu took place. Now, I think the challenge in times like this is therefore to use technology as media persons to ensure accurate information, if possible in real time. If not possible in real time, then at least ensure that it is accurate. I think this race to be first is still a problem in India. Journalism in the TV age became the journalism of Usain Bolt. Who will do the breaking news first? And because it became that kind of breaking news culture was created, people were rushing in to do the news first rather than get it accurate. And I think that is a huge challenge in Corona times in particular, because there is so much of fake news floating around. Let me give you an example. The other day, there was a video which was floating around of people who are running around naked in beards and with their caps on. And it seemed as if, it was sent out on WhatsApp as if the Tabligis were running around in a hospital in Ghaziabad in the nude. It turned out that the pictures were from some mental asylum in Pakistan and had nothing to do with what had happened with the Tablighi Jamaat. So you see, we are all in such a hurry to put out the news, put out information, that the space to fact check, to be more vigilant, has reduced. We do sting journalism, which I don't anymore approve of, because I think sting journalism basically is a form of entrapment. Why do we do it? So that we can in some way maybe get more eyeballs, sensationalize. I don't think coronavirus needs sensationalism, it needs sense. Coronavirus has taught us that news is a service. News is not a commodity. News is not a business. News is a service. When I or anyone reports on Corona, they must report it with the idea that you are providing a service to people. So you're informing them. You're telling them where you can go, where you cannot go, what you should do, what you should not do. And for the first time in years, we have public health professionals actually on prime time. One of the doctors the other day told me, why do you really want me to come on your channel? Because you've never called me all these years. So I said, sir, there was never a story. He said, of course there were stories. It's just that you didn't think it was important enough. And he's absolutely right. We blame governments for not investing enough in public health. And it is true that we have not as a country invested enough in public health. But look at us in the media. How much did we cover public health issues in this country? And I think that weakness is coming out. I mean, when have we ever conducted any kind of real reality check on the state of our hospitals across this? Have we done an audit of where public health monies are going? How is the Anganwadi scheme working? Did we ever make these prime time news? No. And I think that weakness has come to haunt us. We have very few practiced public health reporters. I know a lot of you are young people. Maybe I've been saying this at lectures, but actually I have also not really walked the talk. I believe this country needs many more reporters in the field of health, in the field of labor, in the field of agriculture, in the field of environment and science and technology. And all these 5 areas are so important now in the Corona age. I mean, how do you, suddenly we are giving a face to migrant workers. It's not as if the migrant workers suddenly landed up from the moon. They've existed. It's just that they have never featured enough on our front pages. Why does it have to take a migrant to walk 400 kilometers from Ahmedabad to Jaipur for us to realize, oh God, he's walking 400 kilometers with his family and bags? Actually, many of them do it every year. It's part of their routine. When they have to go back to their villages for the harvest season, they do it. Sometimes, of course, they get trains, but there are other times when they may not be able to afford it. So I think labor is an issue which we have ignored. Agriculture. I mean, why is it that 20 million tons of grain is in our granaries with the FCI, but is not being distributed freely among people? Why do I need a ration card? These are questions we've never asked all these years. Now we are being forced to ask them. uh, on technology. I mean, are we behind the curve when it comes to testing kits? Yes, China has exported this disease to the world, but China also has all the export kits. Why didn't we have quality test kits in this country? Why is there a shortage of PPE, personal protective equipment? Why does it need a pandemic for us to remind ourselves that our doctors perhaps are not equipped with proper protective equipment? So I think all of these issues have come together, and therefore I call it a reset of journalism. I think this is a great moment to reset journalism. Journalism has lost its way in recent years. It had become sensationalism. This is a great and rare opportunity, in my view, to bring journalism to what it was meant to be, a service. I mean, why did the BBC call itself BBC News Service? Because I think the BBC wanted to provide information. I don't think the BBC was worried about TRPs. The problem in India is that we were so caught up in the TRP race, especially TV, that we failed to fulfill our mandate. So I think this is a rare and possibly last opportunity for us to win the trust back of our viewers. And frankly, some of us are attempting it. Some of us are again going back to the same old bad habits. You know, when this migrant crisis has taken place, all kinds of videos are being floated around. Nobody checks them. One channel actually said, we are putting out a video which is unauthenticated. We can't authenticate it. BJP has sent it to us. Can you imagine? In a sensitive issue, you don't even verify the video before you put it on air. So I think these are the challenges of our times, to move away from noise to news, from sensation to sense, and from chaos to credibility. And I think it will need a lot of specialization. I think your generation will need to specialize more. You will need to use technology to send your pictures, to be more effective in terms of your online technology. I have no doubt that digital is the future. But digital also will need to make sure that it provides quality content. Content is king in this business. Whatever else you do with journalism, eventually the only thing that survives is quality content. You know, that to my mind is the challenge of our times. A lot of journalism in the last 10 years in particular was, yaar, isko chala lo, isko, ye log dekhenge. So it was not about what we want to, it was not about information, but we were becoming infotainment. And I think that you can't in Corona be infotainment. Corona is not a story about entertainment. Corona is a story about clear, proper information. I think we make mistakes, for example, in Corona times to again bring Baba Ramdev. And he is going to give the magic potion of how to conquer Corona. Why? Is Baba Ramdev a trained, specialized scientist to do that? Yes, he can tell us how to keep our body fit through yoga. But can he actually provide an antidote to Corona? No, he cannot. So I think we need to relook at the way we do news, change our entire mindset. And you as a generation, I think India should be defined as BC and AC. BC is before Corona and AC is after Corona. You, the students there at APJ, are the AC generation after Corona. You will go into this business post-Corona, and I believe, therefore, you will be in a completely different world where maybe you will work out of home, you will use technology better, and maybe you will do a better job of communicating than my generation did. So these are just preliminary thoughts. I will leave it to you all to ask questions. I'm happy to answer all your questions.
I have a question for you, Rajdeep. Hi, Shailaja here.
Hi, Shailaja.
I'm in the journalism department. And this question is from Bishal Kalita, and it says, sir, you have mentioned how digital aids are influencing all aspects of our lives, including journalism. You've also mentioned about fake news. I would like to point out one tweet by PTI on Ram Navami, which talked about various religious gatherings on the occasion around the state of West Bengal during lockdown. The tweet was taken down thereafter, and there was no further explanation regarding it from the agency, to my knowledge. What is to be made out of such an event? Is PTI too falling for fake news? If yes, whom should we trust to authenticate news?
Vishal, look, I haven't gone through this specific instance, and let me be fair to PTI. Generally, agencies tend to be more responsible. But, as I said, we are in this Usain Bolt age. where everybody rushes to sort of put out the news without pressing the pause button. So maybe in this instance, PTI also failed in their responsibility. And it has perhaps happened once or twice now to PTI in a manner that never happened before. You know, a news agency earlier really catered to the newspaper that came out the next day. Today, the news agencies are also catering to online sites. So maybe they are also under pressure from their clients or maybe from within their managements to be faster with information. So I would like to believe that this is a one-off in the context of a PTI or a news agency. I have suffered in the past. I also had the arrogance of an editor who said, "Arey, kaun hai? We'll fight it out in court." And then I realized that that's not the right attitude to take. The right attitude is my story right or wrong? If my story is wrong, I should have the courage to say it's wrong.
Thanks, Rajdeep. The next question is from Mr. Ashok Ogra. We often talk of the decline of newspapers. What about the decline of political debates? There is no substance worth reporting. Are we seeing both the decline of newspapers and also political reporting?
We have seen a steady decline of political reporting in particular. I mean, how am I as a viewer being more informed as a result of the noise on the TV? So I think because we have the notion of debate is what now? Ki kitna jhagda kar pao, kitna awaaz kar pao. Now this is a peculiar television problem. The print problem is that print news in itself has stopped investing as much as it should in news gathering. Reporters were encouraged to go out and get news. Now what has happened is that level of encouragement doesn't exist in newspapers also. Also, I think what has happened is our politics has become so polarized. Are you pro-Modi or anti-Modi? Are you with Rahul Gandhi or anti-Rahul? And because you are forced to take positions, agendas take over, I think, from the core information that you want to provide.
Thanks, Rajdeep. The next question is from Deep Raj Deb from APJ Institute of Mass Communication. And his question is how to find out if news is fake that's been forwarded on various digital platforms.
Alt News is doing it. Boom Live is doing it. India Today has also started it. But one of the real business opportunities, if any of you young people have an entrepreneurial instinct and want to do something with your journalism post this, you should start fake news sites. And you know, you could tomorrow, it could be a some kind of a service that you're providing to a corporate, which may be the subject of fake news. You could provide it to a political outfit or even just to the people. I think people are looking for that space where they are told, look, this is right and this is wrong. There's a huge space for fact checkers, and even fact checkers must be clear. They should not follow agendas or only try and point out holes in one side, but point out holes in whatever every group says. So I think there is an enormous capacity now. There is an enormous opportunity to have fact-checking sites, which you should go to, I believe, on a regular basis to find out whether the information is true or not.
Thanks, Rajdeep. The next question is from Urvashi Balani. Sir, after the Jamaat, it was discovered that people present there were tested positive for COVID-19. I think she is referring to the Tablighi. This news was all over the country and all news channels were showing this particular bit with tagline, Corona ki jihad, Jamaat ki aghat, which has spread Islamophobia widely. In times of humanitarian crisis, many news channels started this fire and a specific religion was attacked. How do you think this bit of news could have been handled and brought to the people?
You know, you have touched a very raw nerve in me because this is an issue which is troubling me greatly. And this is true across the media. This is a real major problem. And I think the Tablighi issue is a good example of how, of a good case study. Look, the fact is, let's not run away from the truth. Majority of the cases in Delhi in the initial period of coronavirus positive were because of the event staged by the Tablighis. Now, do I say it or not? Of course I must say it. The question is, when I say it, how do I show that news? Do I show that news in an accusatory note as if to say, देखिए ये तबलीगी ऐसे है, ये हम कह ही रहे थे, इसी तरह के लोग हैं? What kind of guests do I get? Do I get guests who will use that to attack all Muslims? Or do I just report the facts? So my view is the Tablighi issue is an important news issue. It should be reported as news. It should not be reported as a coarse, noisy, ugly debate which it has begun. Because what has happened as a result today is we are living in a country where in parts of India, people believe that that Muslims are corona carriers and therefore are refusing to take vegetables from a shop owned by Muslims. You have had in Ahmedabad a story which now the Gujarat government is desperately trying to deny, that the hospitals were divided on the basis of faith. I mean, what is going on? So the fact is we have to be very, very sensitive to these issues before we go and damn an entire community for the acts of the Tablighi. Please attack the Tablighis. Don't attack every. Now. So, for example, when the Nihangs, when a Nihang sect, small group of Nihangs chopped off the hand of a policeman in Punjab the other day, we didn't say that every Sardarji is responsible for it. But when Muslims in Moradabad throw stones at doctors, completely unacceptable. Are we going to say every Muslim is responsible for this action? So I think we have to be very, very conscious in times like this. And I think this is a real challenge of our times because society is so polarized. Journalists cannot also become as polarized as society. I know it gets you TRPs, but we have I come back to it. News is a service. So to answer your question, I would report the Tablighi story as news. I would say that this has caused a large spread of coronavirus, no doubt about it. But let's be very clear, coronavirus, the virus knows no religion. Today, both in Malabar Hill in Mumbai and Koliwada and Dharavi, there are coronavirus cases. So you can be rich, you can be poor, you can be lower middle class. Coronavirus has hit Muslim mohallas, it has hit Hindu localities as well. And to therefore give the virus a religious connotation at a time when we need national solidarity is, to my mind, deeply unfortunate.
Thanks, Rajdeep. Rajdeep, that was really, really relevant. And yes, the virus is a great leveler. The next question is from Shipra Pawar from the APJ Institute of Mass Communications. Her question is, sir, what is ideal journalism according to you? Why is journalism, I really don't understand this, is why is journalism affecting my opinions, belief rather than fact? I guess what she meant is, why is journalism being affected by opinions and belief rather than fact?
Very good question. Very good question. And it, I think, reflects again one big change that has taken place. You know, if I may be allowed to start, when I started journalism in 88, 89, my editors told me very clearly, if you have an opinion, please give it to the edit page. You know, we had the edit page of the Times of India, please write there, whatever you think. But if you have an opinion, you will not bring it to the news pages. News is news, opinion page is opinion. Over the years, what happened is that line has got blurred. Why? Because people think, chalo yaar, news to mujhe WhatsApp, mujhe mobile pe to mil raha hai. I'm getting the vanilla news. I want to give something different, something extra. What is that extra? I will give my opinion. People want to hear, and let's be honest, I'm as guilty as everyone believes now that people switch on a channel to listen to my opinion, not only to the news. So I think we are responsible for this problem because we blurred the lines between fact and opinion. And sometimes I wonder, maybe, I mean, sorry to say this, but whether viewers in particular in TV also want opinion, not facts. They also like the idea that log apna debate kar rahe hain, apni opinion de rahe hain. So I think we have become a more opinionated society and the media tends to reflect that. But it's very dangerous because opinions can shape agendas. News is sacred. News is something you cannot make into an agenda. Opinions can be your agenda. You may have a particular view of Narendra Modi or of how COVID is being dealt with. That's your opinion, which you can express in an opinion program or on an opinion page. But I think we need to give more news. I don't think we give enough news on TV. Most people, after they've watched our news bulletins at night, ask me often, where is the news, sir? And they're right. How many news stories do you get? If I'm living today in Tripura, do I have any clue of what is happening in the Northeast with Corona? I don't think there has been more than 1 or 2 stories on the Northeast on Corona. Or what if I'm living, in Chhattisgarh? Do I know how in an Adivasi tribal area Corona is being handled? I need to give news. That is not opinion. So I think we need to give much more news, but that requires investment. The problem is the business model of the media is struggling today. So people are doing low-cost news gathering. But if you really want to give news, you have to invest in it. Opinion is so easy. मैं यहाँ कुर्सी पर बैठा हूँ, मैं भाषण देता हूँ 1 घंटे के लिए, प्रोग्राम चल जाता है, 5 स्पॉन्सर मिल जाते हैं, थोड़ी TRP भी आ जाती है. We have become lazy. We have taken the shortcut because our business model has collapsed.
Thanks, Rajdeep. The next question is from Kusum. She's from the APJ Satya University. And her question is, sir, we always talk about ethics in journalism. But if we are working as a journalist with an organization that is, I think when she says pro, she means favoring a particular political party, and are given a story that is against our ethics, but we need to get the story done to keep our jobs. What should we do in such a scenario?
It's a very, very good question. It's a question that troubles me on most nights. And I'll give you an example recently. We did a sting operation on madrasas to suggest that madrasas were not observing social distancing. Now, when I saw the story, I had my doubts over it. I felt it had been done too fast. It was being done at the wrong time. It was being done in a manner as if to suggest that every madrasa is a hotspot, Corona hotspot. And I felt that was a terrible way, again, like the Tabligis, to demonize a community. So despite the pressures in my newsroom, I said, I will not carry the story. Look, I'm only a consulting editor there. If I was the editor, I would have said, sorry, I'm not running the story at all. But I'm a consulting editor. I said, on the program that I run, I will not carry this story. I think if you're a reporter and you do not have faith in the story you're doing, you must have the courage of saying no. It's like an IAS officer who may say no if a politician asks him to do something which is against the law. It could be a, it could be a soldier tomorrow if he's asked to do something which is clearly against the discipline of the military. So I think we must have it's not easy, let's be honest, very easy for me to say it. But even if you're a young journalist, I will respect you if you say, sir, this story is not a right story to do because of ABC reason. So I gave reasons why I thought the madrasa story could not go on my show. I did not carry it on my 9 o'clock show. And as it has turned out, part of the story seems to be false.
The next question is from Shawik Mitra from the APJ School of Management. And his question is, do you think that WhatsApp will be phased out of our lives and people will switch to other platforms because it is a hub or source of fake news?
I wish. You are the WhatsApp generation, young Shawik. So I don't know. It's for you to decide. I have been tempted every now and then to say, let me for a while take a break from WhatsApp, break from Twitter, but it's addictive. Let me be honest. You want to connect to all your friends, you want to connect to people, WhatsApp is the best way to do it. I just hope that WhatsApp itself, whoever runs WhatsApp, and that's the Facebook team, that they put in rules and regulations. They are slowly attempting to do that, but they need to do much more. Today, people can get away with abuse, hate, lies, propaganda on WhatsApp in a manner that I cannot on TV or someone else in a newspaper. Why should they have that luxury? Whether these so-called, I think for much too long, Twitter, Facebook, WhatsApp have got away with too much. As if because I'm an open space, I can say what I want there. You can't. Not in the times in which we live. So I think there needs to be stricter rules and regulations, and that I think will come. I think in the next few years, you will have stricter rules without abusing privacy. I think I must have my privacy while I'm doing my WhatsApp, but without abusing privacy, there must be rules and regulations put in that if someone complains about a particular hate speech on WhatsApp or a false message on WhatsApp, there must be some powers with the WhatsApp company to completely be able to take action against that person.
Absolutely true, Rajdeep. And I think this actually just now is probably going to do for WhatsApp and other social media platforms what financial crisis did for the banks. I think we'll have stricter regulations.
Absolutely. I think that's a good point.
Yeah, and the next question is from Sabiha Farhad. She's a faculty member at the APJ Satya University, and her question is: do you think political journalists are following political agendas, especially television channels?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. True. Yeah, the short answer is yes, I do. I think political journalists are being increasingly influenced by how close they are to a particular politician. Some of it is perception. Somebody says I'm anti-Modi, for example, is a perception. I'm not anti-Modi. I criticized Mr. Modi during the 2002 riots, and I covered those riots intensely. And that, in a sense, created this charm. I am against the use of religion in politics, and whenever Mr. Modi or anyone from the BJP has done so, I've criticized it. But if you read my 2019 book, I am far more critical of Rahul Gandhi than I am of Modi. And my 2014 book. If you watch what we did at CNN and IBN when the Congress was in power, most of the time our stories were critical of the Congress. I believe a journalist's job is to tell truth to power, whoever is in power. Today it is the BJP, tomorrow it could be the Congress. I liked a statement that Amartya Sen made yesterday in an article in The Wire. Power is not permanent.
Thanks, Rajdeep. The next question is from Krishita Kandoy and says, what do you think of the evident class divide that is taking place when it comes to the pandemic in our country?
I don't know what I presume what you're saying is that the way in which migrant workers suddenly find themselves completely lost and desolate in shelter camps, struggling to get home. As I said in my introductory remarks, I think it has taken a pandemic for us to give a face to the migrant workers. You know, one constituency that has never got its space in the media is the urban poor. Even to an extent, even in Bollywood, with one or two great exceptions like Do Biga Zameen, great films done in the 50s and 60s. But by and large, the urban poor has been blanked out of our maps. हमने किसानों पर stories किए हैं, गरीब किसान पर किए हैं, but very little was done on the urban poor. अब वो कौन है व्यक्ति who cleans our streets today? Who are the people who clean the drains? Who are the people working on construction sites as big skyscrapers are coming up in Noida, Gurgaon, everywhere? We did not give a face to them. This pandemic has forced us to at least think in terms of their lives. कि उनको minimum wage मिलती है कि नहीं? How they live day to day. You know, I saw some of the, I met some migrant workers the other day and they told me, sir, please look at the food we get in our relief camps. And frankly, if you and I were to eat that food every day, I think we would run away to wherever we could. हम लोग पूछ रहे हैं कि लोग, अरे ये लोग क्यों जा रहे हैं गांव वापस? यार आप नहीं घर जाना चाहते? Do we ask the students who are in America today, why do you want to come back home? Nobody asked that question to the rich students who want to come back home. Special planes were there for them who are stuck in Italy and US. We can't create special trains for migrants. So you are absolutely right. There is a class divide, but I'm glad to see that Corona is slowly removing that class divide. People are realizing that there is another India as well. And I think that is a good conscience. It's a wake-up call for us.
The next question is from Rashi. Rashi is a student of the APJ Satya University School of Journalism. Says, sir, you won International Broadcasters Award for your story on Gujarat riots 2002. Can you please tell what were the difficulties that you faced doing that story and how you overcame that?
You know, Rashi, it's a difficult question to answer. That's the first difficulty. Because, you know, it's a question that has haunted me even 18 years after the riots. People keep asking me. And I think every journalist has that one story which he or she remembers most fondly, or others remember him by. While I, in a sense, because of the television age, I'm remembered perhaps by Gujarat riots because it was the first riot in the age of live TV. Honestly, I actually covered the Mumbai riots of 92-93 with far greater intensity. I was a news editor in Times of India, Mumbai. And for 4 months, I did nothing else with my life, every day in the Times of India there. And that, remember, was pre-TV. So no breaking news, nothing, pen, paper, we had no visual images. In Gujarat, the problem was there was the visual image. And sometimes the visual image is so powerful that it sort of takes over the story. So I realized this today, that, you know, some of the stories I did then, I may not have done now. Because if you show images of violence, of Hindus and Muslims attacking each other in a live riot-like situation, I do think in hindsight, one needs to exercise greater restraint. But you're in a live TV situation, you're reporting live. So I think the biggest challenge and the difficulty was to show adequate restraint. Trust me, there is a lot of footage that we still didn't use. A lot of footage was censored. Today, I can tell you, I saw in front of me a girl on whom acid was thrown. In front of me, barely 5 meters away, when the rioting was going on. I did not show it. It was too horrifying. Now, the challenge, therefore, as I said, is to show that self-restraint. To be able to realize that, you're in a very difficult situation. You are simply reporting the news. And while you report the news, you have to be conscious of the fact is what impact will that news have on people and their minds. So I think that was the big challenge of the times, to sort of report violence in a live situation. The biggest challenge was that. That way, 92, 93 was easier because there was no TV camera. So I could press the pause button. Trust me, the violence was even worse in 92, 93. But I had the opportunity to press the pause button and put it in print, where it doesn't perhaps inflame passions like a TV camera does.
The next question is from Sabina Mitra, and she says, what is the solution to the immigrant crisis as we recently saw in Mumbai?
Well, look, Mumbai is a city of migrants. 20-25% of Mumbai are people who are either first or second generation migrants who have come from UP and Bihar. They cannot be thrown into the Arabian Sea. They keep Mumbai's commercial engine going. They work as watchmen, they work as taxi drivers, they work as delivery boys. And Mumbai cannot do without them. The solution is to be more humane, to be more compassionate. I mean, the first thing that employers do is remove their daily wage laborers. I'm not saying that I can understand where employers also are coming from, but you need to provide a social security net. I think the one thing that this has taught us is that we need to somehow universalize PDS to ensure everyone gets their adequate ration. We need to maybe at some stage look at a basic income guarantee, but we need to provide for those who are less fortunate. We cannot do journalism only about who are the 100 Indian billionaires without reporting on poverty in this country. So I think, it's important to recognize that there are people whose stories need to be told. And I think that's really what the migrant crisis across their stories are as important as the stories of the rich and famous.
I just want to ask two questions. One is, there are a lot of students here. So what is the future in Hindi journalism as well as vernacular journalism? One is that. I think everybody knows here that you are a Padma winner. You won Padma Shri Award. In the last 7 years, have you ever thought of giving up your Padma Award, Rajdeep?
Two very good questions. Let me take the first, which is the Hindi question, और उसका जवाब मैं हिंदी में दूंगा.
बिल्कुल.
देखिए, मुझे लगता है कि मैं एक प्रोग्राम करता था जो हमने अभी रुकवाया है क्योंकि कोरोना चल रहा है, नेता नगरी करके, जो लल्लन टॉप पे चल रहा था. अब इस प्रोग्राम की खासियत थी कि ये प्रोग्राम बिल्कुल बेबाक तरह के ऐसे हम लोग करते थे, बिना हिचकिचाए, हर पार्टी को एक तरह से आड़े हाथ लेते थे और बहुत ही लोकप्रिय बन गया था. और उसकी लोकप्रियता ने मुझे ये बात मेरे ध्यान में फिर से आई कि हिंदी पत्रकारिता जो है उसका जो मास ऑडियंस है वो इंग्लिश से कई ज्यादा बड़ा है. तो मैं समझता हूँ, मैंने जब पत्रकारिता शुरू की, हम नवभारत और महाराष्ट्र टाइम्स के पत्रकार जो थे उनको एक तरह से किनारे करते थे. अब नहीं कर सकते. अब वो जमाना चला गया. आज तक इंडिया टुडे ग्रुप का नंबर 1 चैनल है. वही तो इंडिया टुडे ग्रुप को आगे ले जाता है. तो वो एक जो भेदभाव था हिंदी और अंग्रेजी पत्रकारिताओं में, वो बिल्कुल मिट गया है एक तरह से. और ये सबसे अच्छी बात जो हुई है. और मुझे लगता है अगर आप हिंदी पत्रकार बनना चाहे तो और भी अच्छा है, क्योंकि आपकी कनेक्शन एक तरह से जनता से ज्यादा होगी. तो ये रही हिंदी पत्रकारिता की बात. आपने बात की पद्मा अवार्ड्स की. हाँ, कई बार मैंने सोचा है कि यार सरकारी अवार्ड मैंने नहीं लेना चाहिए. उस समय 2008 में जब मैंने लिया, मैंने आर.के. लक्ष्मण, जो एक तरह से मैं उन्हें एक अपना मेंटोर मानता था, मैंने उनको फोन किया. उनको तो पद्म विभूषण मिला था. मैंने कहा, सर ये सरकार ये अवार्ड देगी. यू मस्ट टेक इट. He said, why? He said, no, as long as you know that you will never be bought or bribed by the government, you're fine. In fact, within 2 months of that, of getting the award, we did a big story on Bofors and Otavio Quattrochi, which embarrassed the Congress leadership. So, मुझे लगता है at times I believe, but having said that, I believe I would not have accepted it if I was a journalist today. I believe journalists should not accept state awards.
Okay, this is a question from Anirudh Banerjee, and it says, sir, at the time when the entire human race is in peril, Indian media acts like a toothless tiger. Is it acceptable for the media to propagate unscientific ideas such as banging of utensils and lighting of candles in the name of solidarity? When the scientific template is missing, when the people are dying, and furthermore, the media diverts our attention to utterly useless topics, making a gimmick out of the present circumstance.
Who's asked this question?
Anirudh Banerjee.
Anirudh, you want to join the newsroom? Please come. Good, solid question, which I think is a question that all of us should ask. You see, I don't think you can, no, 1 minute. You see, we have to report the fact that talis are happening or diyas. That's part of our job. We should not treat it as a Diwali celebration. It comes back to the way you report it. We have to report the news. It is a news that the Prime Minister's communication is such that he wanted, whether you unscientific or not is your opinion. That you must keep for the opinion pages.
I just want to make it a little difficult for Rajdeep. He always signs off on social media at night on Twitter with a song. So what is the song for the day, Raj?
Sanjay, the thing is that, मैं वो गाना लोगों को सुनाता था because I thought social media is a nice place. कि वहाँ दोस्त बनेंगे. फिर मैंने देख लिया है कि धीरे धीरे वहाँ कोई दोस्त नहीं होता, तो मैंने गाने थोड़े कम कर दिए. पर आपने गाना पूछा है तो मैं कह रहा हूँ ये गाना जो मेरे मन में इस समय है, मुसाफिर हूँ यारो, ना घर है ना ठिकाना, बस चलते जाना है. गुलजार का गाना है, आरडी की म्यूजिक है एंड किशोर की आवाज है. People ask me, how do you relax in life? I listen to Kishore and I watch an old Sachin Tendulkar or Gavaskar innings. Nothing better than that in life. Cricket and music, and life is okay.
नहीं, कुछ लोग जिंदगी भर के लिए बनते हैं राजदीप, और वो दोस्ती आज आपने निभाई है यहाँ पर आकर के.
नहीं, ऐसी दोस्ती की सवाल नहीं है. It was a pleasure talking to the young.
Yes, fantastic. It's been fantastic having you here, Rajdeep. And we would look forward to another session like this if you can.
Very happily.
And
very happily.
Yes, and it was lovely having you here. Thank you so much for being here, from all of us and from APJ.
Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you, Shailaja, and the entire team. Thank you so much.